Morning, everyone. I hope everyone's enjoying this beautiful view. I know I'm going to miss the breaking at 2 o'clock for activity time, so I'm going to bring that home to the office when I get home. So today I'm going to talk about basically what is GasBuddy and kind of the email and mobile strategies that we use to message our users, given all the data that we have and kind of the things that we look at every single day to try to get these messages in front of the user at the right time. I'll go into a little bit about what messaging channel that we choose, kind of based on the trends that we're seeing. So what is GasBuddy? If you don't know about GasBuddy, we help users, our drivers, find the best price on gas near them in a variety of different ways. So some users come to our app just to check gas prices. Prices can range anywhere from 40 to 50 cents in your area. We also notice that prices change up to 5 times a day at a certain station. So we try to encourage our users to go into the app to be checking, before work, after work, because prices fluctuate a lot. We have over 80 million downloads. The app's been around since 2010. We also offer a fuel savings program that we've built in-house that is a nationwide fuel savings program. It saves you on every gallon. I'll talk about that in a second. And we partner with consumer brands to offer free gas back to our users. So Pay with GasBuddy, I'll just give a little brief overview of this because a lot of the messaging that I work on is for this program. And the examples you'll see relate to this program. So it's our free fuel savings program. We have over 650,000 members, and we've saved members $10 million since we launched in September of 2017, just on gas alone. In the past year, we've kind of changed the program to be able to offer more free gas to our users. So if you make a purchase within the GasBuddy app, say through Walmart or an Uber ride, you'll get money back on your account just by making that purchase through our app. So we offer it free gas instead of cash back for our program. So having this card lets users redeem this money. So when they go to the pump, their price is less than it would be without the card. So to start it off, I'll go into a couple examples about how we use behavioral data to incentivize our users. So our users, from doing user interviews and surveys, we know that gas is a major household expense for them. It's something that they always talk about, and even if they're saving a couple cents a gallon, that adds up to them because they could be filling up 3 times a week, 4 times a week, so it's really important to them. So we found that using monetary incentives to give money back to the users has been a really sticky way to get them back in the app and using us. So the first example you see here, titled Make It Personal. I know we've all been talking about personalization. This example is extremely personal to the user. So brief overview, within our Pay with GasBuddy program, we have a paid membership, and that offers users an additional discount as well as roadside assistance. It's a monthly fee to be a part of that program. And what we noticed when we were testing the program and enrollments into it, we found that over 95% of users that were joining were actually coming from our free program. So we weren't moving net new customers into this paid program. It was all existing free users that were moving into it. So when we launched the program, we had pretty low enrollment rates. And it was hard to get people joining the program, seeing the value of the program. So what we decided to do was target our current free Pay with GasBuddy users with a message in their push notification and email receipt after they transacted to basically tell them what they could have saved with a paid membership. So you can see in this example, the user transacts at the pump. They get a push notification that tells them what they saved and what they spent. This says, if you had a paid membership, you could have saved this, and we'll actually give it back to you right now if you join. So if the user takes the action, to enroll in our paid program, we'll give them that money back on their account just by taking that action in a limited time. So when we rolled this out, we saw a 5 times increase in enrollments looking at the 3 months prior to the 3 months post this being live, which for us was a really big indication that these types of messages can work. The other advantage to this is that it wasn't an additional message. It was already something that these users were receiving. We just tacked it on to the bottom of the message as a reminder about what they could be saving. This next example is similar in a way. So we've noticed that creating a sense of FOMO, and I'm sure everyone knows what FOMO is now, but fear of missing out, in a monetary sense can help kind of drive that transaction. We have this feature within our app that's free to use. It's called Deal Alerts. And what it does is it's a flash sale on gas. So you go into the app, you activate the deal, you have 4 hours to get the extra savings at the station, and then that money comes off your purchase automatically. Our situation here was we had low activation rates. So we were noticing that a lot of these deals were being unused, even if people had them available to them. So this particular message is a bit, the back end's a little bit technical, but basically how it works is we're reminding users that they're missing out on this free savings, and it will fire to them when they transact at the pump and they haven't activated the deal. So after their transaction's over, they'll see a push notification as well as this in their email receipt of what they missed out on savings and basically educating them for moving forward. The outcome for this was really exciting in 2 ways. So one, it actually worked to drive activation. The second, which I think is more exciting, is that we saw that 75% of those users went on to activate at least twice. So we kind of created a continuous behavior for them, which is really what we're looking to drive, especially with this feature. Oh, it's a little wonky at the top, but this example is about rewarding a first purchase. So a problem that we often have with this Pay with Gas Buddy program is users will sign up for free, they've done the work to link their bank account, they've gone through all the steps, they have the card, and they just don't do anything with it. That's not good for us because we've spent money shipping the card, we don't have an active user anymore, so we really want to get them activating and purchasing with the card. So we went down the incentive route again, throw money at people, it usually works. So what we did here, and we do this quite frequently, but we target our users who have not made a first purchase. So we know their user state, they have enrolled, they have the card, and they haven't activated or made a first purchase. So what we do is offer a limited time incentive. Basically, we usually send this out, say mid-month. They have until the end of the month to use the discount. So it's a forced, quick transaction that we're trying to get them to make. For this one in particular, we had 12% of our users go on to make a purchase from this. And when we don't incentivize, we're less than half of that through these types of campaigns. And we also send a push notification reminding users, which I'll talk about in a few slides. The last example for this behavioral data side of things is taking the math out of the equation. So we do this pretty frequently. People can get a little bit confused about, is this worth it? How much am I going to save? Do the pennies really add up? So what we did here to try, again, to get users into this paid program is to target the segment of users that we know are most likely to enroll in it with a message about what they could have saved. This is part of the life cycle of emails that users receive once they enroll and make a first purchase. So we basically just did the math for them. Hey, if you were a paid member, you could be receiving $1.79 on your fill-up versus the 25 cents that you saved. and we list out the perks. So it's a little bit easier for the user to understand how much they actually could save in real life. And from this particular email, we had 3 times our normal rate of enrollments that we see from emails still targeting this program, but not with the math for them. Okay, so the next piece of data that we use frequently is our location data. Location data is an interesting one, especially now with the changes to iOS 13 and Android, constantly reminding users about apps using their location data. So that's a struggle across the app space right now. But what we do is we use the location to provide value back to the user in real time. Gas is a purchase that people need to do all the time, but you don't necessarily want to be reminded of it if you don't need it at that moment. So we're trying to get smarter about how we message going into the app and checking prices at the right time for the user. So this example here is focused on a small test, or program rather, that we have with a station called Loves. They're across the country, mainly like Midwest, Central America. So we have a mobile payments program with them. And it's the only mobile payments that we have right now where you can use your Pay with GasBuddy card on your phone at these stations. So when we had launched this, there was a launch email series letting our customers know that they could now pay with their phone at a Loves. But we wanted a way to kind of keep this top of mind, this feature for them. So what we did is create a location-targeted push notification that lands on this message within our app. And it's targeted based on a user entering a fence that you can't see, a geofence we call it. So basically they're driving into a Loves station. So we know that they're there. They could be there for gas. They could be there for food, whatever. But we have decided that this is the best way to try to get this message in front of the user at a time we think is relevant. So we can frequency cap these, of course, so we're not sending one a day if a user goes to Loves for their coffee every day. So we frequency capped this one, but we did see engagement rates were 170% higher than what our benchmark mobile engagement rates are towards this segment of users. So for us, it was a success in the continuous reminding of users about this feature, trying to get them into the app, et cetera. Another example for location-based data that we focus on is our station-sponsored discounts. So we work with a number of gas stations who will sponsor an additional discount for our pay users. That's usually in the form of an extra 5 cents a gallon. And the stations are usually just looking for increased foot traffic, and they found that these types of things work. So our first partner that joined with us for this was Wawa. And what we do for this, similar to the Loves campaign, is we launch an email announcing the offer to the applicable users. And then we use mobile messages to subtly remind them throughout the course of the campaign. Usually these last about 3 months, so if we're sending an email every week reminding a user about this campaign, they could be annoyed with it. So we use a similar technology to fire a real-time push notification that will drive awareness. So it will land on this message, basically just saying, hey, this is still here for you. Keep filling up here before the time period ends. This one in particular was this recent September. So engagement rates for mobile on this particular one were 145% higher than our benchmark. We also know an indicator that Wawa is happy with these campaigns because they've run 3 consecutive campaigns. And we also, our sales team used it as ways to get other brands on board for these types of campaigns. So I'll just talk a little bit about our email and mobile messaging approach, and kind of how we decide what we're going to use to message our users. Email is definitely our primary source of communication. We have way more capabilities for targeting and segmentation in email than we do mobile, but we've found that mobile can be a really good tool as a reminder and an additional way. So kind of coming back to this deal alerts feature and the problem that we were having. So low activation rates, educating the user. This is a free thing that can save them up to 25 cents a gallon. All you have to do is visit the app. We were having trouble with this education piece because when we launched the program, it was all via email. We were educating them, we were providing tutorials where they can find it. But as you can see here, our email open rates are 50% desktop, and we don't have this experience in desktop. It only lives in our app. So we were finding that we were driving half of our email traffic to a page that says download the app. And if a user's not interested in downloading, they abandon and we've lost them. So this message in particular is a targeted in-app message based on a user seeing a deal alert but not taking an action. So in the GasBuddy app, there's 1,000 things a person can do at any given time, and we track those things via events. So we know if a user is scrolling on our list screen to see gas prices and they've seen a deal and they haven't done anything with it. We also know if they do something with it, but in this case, we know they haven't. So we take that data and create this targeted message that will fire a few days after a user has scrolled and seen a deal but not done anything. So it basically educates them on, what it is, how easy it is to use. They already have the card, so the discount comes off automatically. It's really just free money that they're missing out on. So what we saw from this in particular was a 10% click-through rate on this message and a 3% conversion rate. So 3% of the people that were clicking on this went on to activate and use one of these deals. And compared to email, our click-through rate was 2% for these deal alert-focused emails. Our conversion rate is a little bit harder to track since it's not a web product, it's only an app. But just the click-through rate alone was an indicator that mobile is the better messaging channel for this particular feature. And we've kind of taken that across the company to the product teams. Everyone's kind of moving forward with, okay, how do we message this better in mobile after seeing stuff like this? So this past November, had a 40% increase in utilization for this feature, and that was just looking at from October to November. So it was a really quick win for us to see. But there were also some other changes. I can't take total credit for this one, but this was a big contributing factor to the increase in utilization month over month. So just kind of overarching, mobile versus email, like what is the best user experience? So for us, mobile is a better user experience. Let's target mobile. We still do email, but it's different, a totally different layout, and the messaging is different for email now. So kind of tying it back, email first, mobile reminder. So we've had a lot of success in launching campaigns via email and then reminding users about those campaigns via mobile. So going back to that first purchase reminder, we launched it in email and mobile. They have 15 days to use the discount. We'll send a push notification, 2 days before the discount's over and say, you have until the end of the month to use your discount, as you can see here. This one in particular drove 13 more purchases in those final 2 days of the campaign, which is definitely a success for us because the campaign was only 2 weeks long. Another example, going back to the Wawa station-specific offer, is that it really resulted in a steady wave of transactions over the course of the campaign. So Wawa came to us looking for increased traffic throughout the whole time. They didn't want a spike in transactions at the beginning and then a fall off. And we've seen that being able to use those geo-targeted real-time notifications, that the traffic has been steady because the transactions were very similar throughout the 3 months. So just some takeaways and the road ahead for us. So takeaways for us would be rewarding the customer in a personalized way has driven real business results for us. So in the form of those paid enrollments. So us giving that $1.34 back to the user was a way to get them in the door. And that's a very high value customer for us because they're paying us every month. And they use their card all the time, and they take other high-value actions, so that was a really big one for us. The other one is targeted mobile messages sent at the right time can contribute to really fast improvements. So circling back on the 40% utilization increase, that was a really quick win for us month over month to see that sort of spike. And it was a pretty simple creative to put together. The logic wasn't that difficult to create in the back end. So those sorts of like quick wins that can drive that sort of increase month over month is really exciting for us. And kind of moving forward, after doing a lot of testing and kind of rolling out a lot of new features in the past year, we're really focused on more real-time notifications. So kind of going back to gas is a purchase that people need all the time, but you don't really want a message that says, go fill up now if you just got it yesterday. So really trying to figure out the best way to let users know, you have a deal near you. We know you haven't filled up in a week, so you might need it, stuff like that. And we also, like I mentioned, have a lot of features that we're trying to promote in the app. So we're going to focus a lot in 2020 on prioritizing those messages and trying not to put the wrong content in front of the user that might not be interested. So if a user's not interested in joining Pay with GasBuddy, we still want them to use the app. So let's focus on app messages for them. For Pay users, let's focus on our paid membership offer and other features that they can use. So that's really where we're looking to go is to make the messages more personal in a way that the user actually really wants to see them. And that's it.
Kristen, thank you so much. We have time for questions from Kristen. Over here.
Mike Pattison, Vail Resorts. When you say mobile messaging, I saw a lot of push up there. Do you do SMS as well?
We don't do SMS right now. We do push notification, in-app alerts, and we have an inbox within our app, so you can read messages in there like an email inbox.
And is the in-app to avoid losing a connection with that user? Because a lot of people opt out of push. So you can still have an indicator that there's a message.
Yep, so we can badge an inbox message so the user knows there's something to look at in the app without sending a push notification. We send push notifications on a more rare basis because they're a little bit more invasive than an inbox message.
Since you have the real-time channel of, I'm sorry, over here. Since you have that real-time channel of mobile apps, I wonder how this has changed or informed your email strategy in terms of how real-time can email be? An email message could certainly get across in a timely manner that you haven't filled up in a while.
Yep.
Things like that. So what have you learned about the ways in which you can use email and timing and how real-time email can be for your users?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a lot of life cycle emails built out that are triggered off of a certain number of days and stuff like that. But we don't know if it's exactly the right message. We have, what we've seen is positive results in that space. But I think that there's a lot of learnings we can take from how people function within our app and how likely they are to take an action if it's more native to the experience that they're looking for. So I think for email, we have a lot of segmentation strategy in place, and a lot more options for personalization. But I think the timing is the part that we really need to work on, especially if we're driving users to more web experiences in email. Like, how do we optimize that to kind of make sure that we're not sending users constantly to the download the app page, and it makes more sense in email, and kind of balancing the two between email and mobile.
And finally, as a wrap question, what are you getting from, what are you seeing, behaviors are you seeing from the users in terms of their preferences about the channels that they prefer to get to, in terms of, say, unsubscribe from mobile alerts as opposed to unsubscribe from emails, and how much control they have over how they're being connected?
Yeah, it's interesting. So we have an email preference center, and we're actually building a mobile preference center because we don't have a really mobile preference center right now to be able to cater those messages a little bit better. I would say email is probably our most, as far as our larger sends, we definitely see better engagement across the board in email, which is why we focus mobile on the more targeted. We try not to send a ton of push notifications to our entire mobile base that might not be relevant to them. We usually save that for time-sensitive promotions or a new offer, stuff like that. So I think email is definitely our channel where users are more engaged. We also only send to 90-day engaged email users, so we still continuously see really strong email engagement rates. And the mobile, it's a little bit harder to track without that preference center, but I'm sure we'll kind of get down that path in 2020.
Kristen Healy, thank you so much.